Well, I think the next, naturally to talk about would be Bayern, because they're playing
Chelsea.
Yeah.
Bayern and Chelsea, I think, because...
Can we talk Liverpool Atleti?
You want to do that? Because
Same
this
day.
is the first. That's the first day.
Same day.
Same day, yeah.
All right, Brennan, go ahead on Liverpool. As the Liverpool fan, let's talk.
Okay, so my thing with Liverpool right now is, like, it's weird. This is not a situation that, let alone like me as a Liverpool fan, but just like any person who is a fan of a football club, it's very weird to be in a position that I'm in right now where, like, I'm watching my team play and I don't expect them to lose any game ever, and I also don't know how to predict when they will lose.
Yeah.
Because, like, obviously Atletico Madrid is a pretty good team, but Atletico Madrid this year, in comparison to the last, we'll say 5 or 6 years, is probably at their worst, I would argue.
Yeah.
Outside of,
I think that would be hard to argue.
Yeah.
outside of maybe like a random year in the past 10 years or so that they slumped. But I'm just saying, like, in general, this is probably the worst year that Atletico Madrid has had in recent memory. This is by far, in a way, the best year that Liverpool has had in recent memory, even though they won Champions League last year just because of the run of form that they're in currently. So, like, my thing is that it's hard for me as a Liverpool fan to make a prediction about the game because it's very obvious for me to just say, well, Liverpool will win, 2-0. And, we'll be good to go, play the second leg, win 2-0 in the second leg, no matter where it is, no matter who we're playing, and then we move on to the semis. But because of how confident I feel saying that, at the same time, I'm like, well, we're going to lose eventually. Like, it might not even be this year. Like, it might not even be this season. Like, we could literally win every FA Cup game, every Champions League game, every Premier League game, and it would be insane. But that's not probable.
It's going to happen at some point.
At some point, we will lose. My question is I don't have a real easy way of predicting when because I have no idea. Like, I have no idea what the circumstances are for us to lose a game.
What do you think? I think another thing, like, when you don't expect to lose, stuff like that, and Liverpool hasn't been in a situation like this in a long time, I wonder how they will react after a loss, no matter what competition it is.
Yeah.
And I think the worst time, and I don't think they will, but I think the worst loss they could have right now, because the lead in the league is so large, I think that a loss in the league wouldn't be as big an effect. But if they lost the first leg of this Champions League tie,
that's true. Where's the first
That's what I'm looking
leg at? That's true. If they lose,
that would be the worst.
Leg 1 of a Champions League match, first loss of the season, that could have a surprising impact on the team because losing to whoever I think it's Norwich they play next in the Premier League. Yeah. Obviously, it's not going to happen. They're playing the 20th place team in the Premier League.
First game is in Atletico, by the way.
That's even scarier.
Yeah. Losing in the Premier League, it won't mean anything. They'll just say, okay, we have 4 games to, pick it back up because they can still afford to lose a couple more. Champions League, you lose that first leg at Atletico 2-1, 2-0, and you're on the back foot with 90 minutes to fix it. Well, and they haven't been put in that situation since Premier League last season.
And they don't have a 20-point lead.
They haven't been in that situation since semifinals Champions League last season.
And it's the exactly. So it's the Champions League. There's no 20 matches to fix, 20 points to fix that.
Yeah, so you're right, Brennan. You don't know when it's going to happen. It's bound to happen eventually, and it doesn't look like it's happening in the Premier League. And since they won the Champions League last year, like we talked about earlier,
But that's my thing though, because we're gonna have this whole conversation and then we're gonna be like, okay, predictions for the fixture, and everyone's gonna be like, 4-1 Liverpool or 5-2,
because there's no reason to believe they're not gonna win against
Atletico, and that's my problem because
by watching Liverpool, in the little bit that I've gotten to see of them recently, you can tell they're not on a decline, but you can tell teams are getting closer. Teams are getting just a little bit closer. Now, don't get me wrong, they're not up to Liverpool's level. I don't think anyone is, at the current moment, remotely close. But the way that you're finding people can get to Liverpool, or at least get them on the back foot, is pretty much exactly how Atletico want to play. I just don't know if they have the personnel to do it. Now, they didn't sign a center forward in the window. They needed that Cavani signing. They borderline needed that Cavani signing just to have someone up front.
For Atletico Madrid?
Yes. Yeah. That will, just to have someone up front that is going to give Van Dijk a challenge. Now, Van Dijk, Van Dijk's not, if I saw it correctly, Van Dijk's not even top 10 in the Premier League in the tackles won for this season.
He never.
Because he doesn't have to make a tackle. He is so intelligent, he doesn't have to make a tackle. Now, the issue is, if you can keep the ball on the opposite side of Van Dijk, whether that be whoever the other center back may be, whether it's Matip, Dejan Lovren, whoever it may be, if you can get it in the channel of Lovren or Matip and behind Trent Alexander-Arnold and get someone like Yannick Carrasco, who's freshly back from China, even though he hasn't played a game in 2 months because the whole country is on lockdown. But if you can get someone with pace in behind Trent Alexander-Arnold, he's not the best one-on-one defender. That is their one weak spot, is he is not a good one-on-one defender. A one-on-one attacker, no one's beating him. But one-on-one defending, yeah, you have a shot, and that's what you're going to do. Is you're going to have to break, and you have to break for the hills with everything you have, and
that's Atleti's game.
Yeah, and that's been Atletico's stereotype.
Diego Simeone's whole strategy.
Over the past 3 or 4
let's
years.
defend, let's not break, and then let's just go at him with speed.
So Atletico, realistically, in this tie between the two legs, are very easily going to have less than 10 shots on goal.
Wouldn't be surprised.
I wouldn't be shocked if they come out with 5 or less.
Atleti this season, though, don't have the speed that they've had in the past few seasons.
Losing Griezmann.
I mean, it's going to
be... Well, yeah, Griezmann obviously is like the obvious one, but even they had like...
It's going to be one person. I don't know if it's not going to be Carrasco.
Still got Thomas Lemar.
So like they're like really like I guess like fast wingers or whatever is João Felix and Lemar.
João Felix is injured.
Okay, so
he's not playing?
So
I don't know if he's not going to play, but he is injured and he's been out for a little bit.
Right. So like I looked up the statistics for their team so far. Like Alvaro Morata is their leading scorer in La Liga, and he has 7 goals.
Yeah, I mean
in like 21 games or whatever. So it's like
they're not scoring a lot.
Yeah. So
again, do we see back to predictions? Do we see a chance for Atleti?
Yeah.
Do you want to just go?
Yeah.
Go through predictions?
It's very, very slim.
Over 2 legs.
I mean,
what are we saying?
like you guys said, I mean, I went with Dortmund on the other one, but this, I'm definitely going Liverpool. I'd say I want to see, it's more I want this to happen more, and I would like to see it happen more with Liverpool. I want to say they're not going to concede a goal. I'm going to say 4-0. 2
I mean, defense is definitely good enough too, I think. So.
I'm going to go 3-1 to Liverpool.
I like Noah's 4-0. I don't think this defense is breaking against Alvaro Morata.
Yeah.
I think they're going to get one shot.
I want that to happen because I think
you want
the defense is good enough, and it's against a team that doesn't typically score tons of goals anyway.
Let's put it this way. The 3 attacking options that you can realize, 3 of the main attacking options that Atletico have at the current moment, João Felix, Alvaro Morata, and Diego Costa are all struggling with some sort of injury at the current moment. So an already depleted Atletico side, you're
playing the best back 4 and goalie in the league, in the world.
Playing realistically the best attacking team in the world. Trent Alexander-Arnold and Andy Robertson are going to be higher up the field than Atletico's end line. It's
probably
it's going to be embarrassing how far back in their own zone.
Andy Robertson will still track back too. That's the funny part.
Which is exactly why I said if Atletico were going to break, you're not going to Andy Robertson because even if you beat Andy Robertson, Van Dijk's going to come over and literally just put Alvaro Morata in the 3rd row.
Well, I know I had my whole monologue about how I don't really know when Liverpool's going to lose, but for my series prediction, I'm actually going to say 6-0.
Fair.
And that's only because
Good Lord.
We're going to score 3 goals in the first game. Atletico could score at home for obvious reasons. Like it could be 6-1 maybe, but I'm
give them the benefit of the doubt. It could be 6-1.
It could be 6-1. The only way we don't score 6 is if we score 3 in our first game, and then we're like, yeah, maybe we don't need to start every single player. Like, let's give Alex Oxlade-Chamberlain a game up top, or let Xherdan Shaqiri play a full 90 minutes in Champions League. Like, if we do that, then maybe we only score 5. But
we spent a solid 5 minutes trying to convince ourselves Atleti could be the team to break it, and then it came to this one. We're just like, but they're not going.
That's what I said.
But they're not.
That's what I said at the end of my monologue. I was like, we're talking about all this, but then I'm like, at the same time, it's like no one's going to predict Liverpool to lose. Like, it's too hard to.
I was just saying that for me, I was just saying the worst time to lose would be this first game.
Alrighty, so
do we want to keep talking Champions League, or do we want to save that for next week for the other games?
I think that we could do it for next week.
Okay. So we got the 2 games that are happening this week.
Yep.
Okay.
Sounds good to me.
Well, there's 2 games Tuesday and 2 games on Wednesday.
Yeah. All the games are the
Right.
same week.
Yeah.
So
there's 2 games next week and 2 games two games per day the week after that.
Right. So we got So wait, it's Dortmund or Atalanta, Valencia, and Spurs, Leipzig. That's the other games this week.
Because normally it's two on Tuesday
Right.
and then 2 on Wednesday.
So we have 2 on Tuesday, 2 on Wednesday.
So we're gonna talk those ones down.
Yeah, let's do the ones on Wednesday.
Atalanta, Valencia. Corbin, you love this game.
I love this matchup. I'm gonna be honest. I know borderline nothing about either of these 2 teams, but I gotta be honest. This is going to be the tie of the round, and here is why I say, what in God's name do either of those teams have to lose? Someone answer that question.
It's like Ajax last season.
It is 2 Ajaxes from last season going straight at each other. They have nothing to lose. Atalanta are the top scoring team in Serie A, and it's not close.
Yeah.
They have, I think it's like 50-some goals this
Second
season.
best goal differential, better than Juventus.
Yeah, Josip Ilicic has literally started the year almost as hot as Cristiano Ronaldo since the turn to 2020. They are on fire. Valencia, again, not too many attacking options, but another team that realistically has nothing to lose. And at this point, you're playing for a spot in the quarterfinals.
Mm-hmm.
Like, there is nothing to lose. There is nothing to hold back. Do not play a defensive game. Either one of these teams most likely will not. This is a dream draw for both teams.
Yeah, so I think something that's important to note is for Atalanta, they have 2 players who have scored a goal at least once in 2 games. So like Luis Muriel has 12 goals in 20 games, and Ilicic has 14 goals in 18 games.
Oh, so scoring a goal every other game?
Yeah, so they're both scoring at least a goal every other game, and that is normally a recipe for being able to score at least a goal a game, no matter,
and I believe,
who you're playing.
I believe Josip Ilicic, you said he's on, 14 and
14 and 18 with 3 assists as well.
And
so
I believe he's got at least 7 of those since the turn of 2020. So he is hot.
Yeah,
that is obviously going to be a man that
so that's Serie A stats only. That does not include their Champions League games to this point.
Does not include Champions League because obviously they haven't played since November.
I mean, Atalanta is exciting because last season they had that incredible Serie A run where they did the same. They were just scoring goals on goals on goals, qualified for Champions League for the first time ever. And then they've kept it up this season, plus 30 goal differential in the league. You're right. They've got nothing to lose. They're not going to win the league. They're in 4th place. They're not going to win the league. But they've kept the momentum from the end of last season, which I don't think anybody expected. And they got out of the group stage in their first ever Champions League appearance.
They have a sneaky good team. If this game was played in a 7-game series, I think Atalanta would win 6 out of the 7.
Really?
Yes, I genuinely think that. I actually watch Valencia a good bit because I love Parejo. He's one of my favorite players in football right now, or just recently. And I like their team, and I think that they're pretty good in terms of La Liga terms. But Atlanta has a lot of players that I think will be taken away from them this summer, and also mainly in the striking force. They have Muriel, they have Zapata, they have Ilicic, and then Papa Gomez, and I think all those players, maybe not Gomez because he's a little bit older than all the other ones, but they are all players that they were good, then they transferred to elsewhere, were awful, and then they all moved to Atalanta and are amazing again.
Yeah.
And so I agree. This is going to be such a fun tie to watch.
Well, I would say it's important to note that this first game is in Italy, so the first game will be in Atalanta, and then on top of that, we are only 2 weeks off of Valencia's win over Barcelona, which I think is not the best way to dictate form because it is 2 weeks away, but it is definitely relevant to this matchup because outside of Valencia playing Barcelona, neither of these teams have played really a relevant team in their own leagues. Atlanta has played Fiorentina twice, and that's their notable games in the past, like since 2020. That is their notable games, is Fiorentina. And obviously Valencia has played Barcelona and then played a bunch of terrible Spanish teams outside of that. So as far as like, if you want to know how Valencia is going to play against a good team, that is the only comparison.
The only indication.
It's the only indication in the last since the turn of the decade for either team of like seeing them play a good team. So
I mean, attacking options are all over the place in this game. Looking at Valencia's team right now, they have, I mean, obviously he hasn't done much for Valencia, but we all remember the name Denis Cheryshev from
Real Madrid,
from the 2018 World Cup,
right?
Where he just went off for Russia and was a dominant reason of why they got so deep. They have Kevin Gamero, who is nursing an injury, but is reported to be back well in time for this game. So it should be a decent attacking game, and it should produce a ton of goals and a ton of attacking options.
You hope, anyway.
Yeah.
Like, the only way people are going to turn on their TV for it is if there is a ton of goals.
Well, here's the issue, is if you live in America and you don't have BR Football Live, which is like $70 a month or something, just something absurd, you're not watching this game.
Right.
Yeah.
So realistically, I don't think anyone here has that.
You've got to find that stream.
So we're probably going to have to find some Twitch stream of that, and I'm going to have to imagine that
we condone the use of illegal streams on this podcast because BR makes us pay too much money.
Not our fault.
Apologies, BR, for that one.
So then you want to start with prediction then?
Yeah,
go for it.
Man, predictions are going to be high in this game. I'm going to go 6-4 in Atalanta. I'm going high.
I think it'll be fast-paced. It'll be exciting. I don't know, 6-4. I'm going to go Valencia 3-2, but exciting games.
Yo, I really hate you. That was literally going to be my exact prediction. I was going to say 3-2 Valencia.
It's really a coin flip. I mean,
I'm going Atalanta.
Can you pick you're going Atalanta. Are you guys picking them as clear favorites, or is it a coin flip? You just feel like Atalanta is going to come on top?
For me, I mean, even though both these teams they're like the same in a lot of ways, I think Valencia is pretty trash. I'm just gonna say it right here.
I love Parejo. They're doing decent in the league. It's not like they're struggling in the league.
I know, but I love Parejo, but beyond him, not a lot of Valencia players have. It doesn't. They have good names, but the difference is Atalanta. Everyone's hot right now.
Yeah,
Valencia, there's no one that's really been hot and is hot right now. So that's why I'm saying 3-1.
Okay.
I don't think it's gonna be that. They both are high-scoring teams.
Yeah, I would.
But I think this is actually going to be lower scoring.
I actually don't believe Valencia is a high-scoring team. I'm pretty sure they've only scored like 35 goals at tops this season. So they're both attacking. But they are very attacking.
I mean, they play Spanish football.
Yeah, they are very attacking-minded teams, and they have more attacking. More attacking players than they do defensive players. So realistically, they are going to be.
Yeah.
So we have 2 for Atalanta and 2
for Valencia. Yeah.
It's really a coin flip.
I mean, that's
nobody knows what to expect out of this game. Nobody knows.
I think it's a little.
We can say whatever we want, but at the end of the day, like, I'm just gonna watch and be like, I know Valencia beat Barcelona recently, and then I'm gonna watch what happens, and I'm gonna be like, okay, yeah, I mean that
they deserve to.
Sure. Yeah.
We can all confidently say Liverpool's gonna beat Atleti, but none of us can confidently say an outcome to this.
No,
absolutely not.
Noah is trying to convince himself. You're confident in your prediction?
I am a little bit. I'm not coin flip unconfident.
Okay.
But I am a little. I'm a little more confident than that.
Well, let's move on to the very last Champions League game of the first week of fixtures, which of course is kind of how we started the show with Tottenham. We are going back to them now for the Tottenham versus RB Leipzig game. Again, that is the other game on the 19th. And that one is first leg in Tottenham. So I guess if whoever wants to start, if you have any, I guess, general thoughts on how this game goes. I know we talked a lot about Tottenham earlier, but obviously from the Leipzig side, we haven't even mentioned their name until just now. So
right. And I will say, I know they were top of the table at one point. They played Bayern Munich in less than 20 to 24 hours. So I think a lot will be said about Leipzig on how they play tomorrow.
Yep.
A point behind Bayern.
Yep. So Bayern is 42, Leipzig is 41 going into that matchup.
Yeah. So that will be. So I think that's going to be a very telling point. I want to see
the form.
Yeah. I want to see the form. I want to see how Leipzig are going to play, because I watched a little bit of Leipzig's last match or the day they got knocked out in the Pokal Cup, and they just got Angelino from Man City on loan, and he sat at left back in that game, and it was a lot of play on the right side, play on the right side. Angelino slowly creep beyond the half-field line, and then just big
run.
switch.
Yeah.
And then just a big switch to him into space. He gets 20, 30 yards and just whips it across.
That's a lot of when Liverpool isn't counterattacking. That's like a lot of what they do as well, which I think is like kind of the inspiration for that. I feel like a lot of clubs have started doing that where they're like getting left and right backs. Like obviously, generally speaking, there's not very many that are going to do it better than Andy Robertson or Trent Alexander-Arnold, but a lot of people are kind of, I think, like at least in the past 5 months, I would say, replicating that style of trying to use your outside backs
in an attacking role.
in a way to switch the field, like to create more like play going forward.
Yeah, and I think the best example of this in recent years was definitely Marcelo for Real Madrid in their span where they
I mean it probably started with him more so than it started with Liverpool, obviously.
Where they ran through three Champions Leagues straight. You can see Real Madrid would just sit on the right, sit on the right, and Marcelo's just standing over there in 40 yards of space, and they ping a ball over to him. And the most brilliant first touch.
We're all picturing the same touch, right?
Yes.
Yeah.
We're all picturing
Stuck it under his foot.
Yeah, we're all picturing the same exact touch. And he just touches it out.
Yeah.
And then he's also in the space. He drives at the other outside back. And then at Real Madrid, it was Cristiano Ronaldo with him. It's obviously not now. It's probably Hazard or Benzema making a run behind. But it's that type of game where Angelino will get forward, and you're going to have Timo Werner going in behind. And then the space that he leaves will be made for Poulsen or something like that, for him to be able to split Timo Werner in, who is probably second, third most dangerous striker in the Bundesliga, or whip a ball right onto Poulsen.
It's interesting that we bring up this topic because Leipzig with Tyler Adams, when he's playing right back, they play more. It's a different style of attacking back. They mimic the Pep Guardiola at City, having him an inverted outside back. When they go forward, Tyler Adams checks to the middle as a right back, and he works as a center midfielder. So it's not the traditional, let's work that out on the outsides with TAA and Robertson. They bring Tyler Adams into the middle and try to possess the ball more so than just driving it forward. It's the same, same end result. You're getting more players forward, and you're doing that with the outside backs.
Yeah,
but it's just in a different way.
That style is not a style that, I think, to your point, like we don't really see a lot. Like there's not a lot of teams who have done it like really well, which is why a lot of teams stay away from it. Like I think, to your point, Bayern probably does it pretty well with Joshua Kimmich. I feel like a little bit. David Alaba was really good about that too.
They really used to bring Kimmich into the middle, which you could see he was very technical. He's very quick on the ball.
Well, they did that a lot. Even before Kimmich, they did it a lot with David Alaba. David Alaba would like literally be in the almost like center attacking midfield position at some point shooting. And then I think the other team, like obviously because I'm a Liverpool fan, this immediately came to mind. But like when James Milner played left back for a while, like that was something that they did a lot with him too, was he would like throughout the game, he would slide between like left back and center holding mid, just depending on like where Jordan Henderson was going. You know what I mean? So
it's definitely a lot of that. Joshua Kimmich did it really well, but now you see Joshua Kimmich playing holding mid for Bayern Munich.
And you just need a really like specific group of players to be able to do that, which I think is why like you don't see it very much.
Yeah, I think a very specific type of player and a very specific mindset of how to play kind of a little bit of both positions, because once you have the ball, a back four turns into a back three, and you end up going a 3-7-1 or whatever Bayern likes to play now with Robert Lewandowski just being a predator inside the box.
Yeah. So I guess final time here, we will just do predictions. I know we didn't really talk about Tottenham too much. Does anyone have anything they wanted to say about Tottenham before we go into predictions? I know we talked a lot about them earlier, so I didn't know if anyone...
I think we talked a lot about the squad.
Yeah.
But I would just say I think it'll be really interesting to see someone that's as seasoned as Jose Mourinho go up against Julian Nagelsmann.
Yeah.
Very, very, very big difference in the philosophy
of the two
teams.
This is definitely a game where, like, the first thing you look at is, like, the coaching, how the coaching will impact. Like a lot of times, like especially so like my example for this would be like Dortmund versus PSG. You're looking at like Neymar and Mbappe versus Erling Haaland, who has 7 goals in 4 games, and like what will Marco Reus do? Like he's
what
always
players
sick.
Gonna be the difference maker.
Right.
Sancho's
So
on fire too.
right, Jadon Sancho. When you look at this game, you're like, okay, who's going to be like the smarter tactician? Which I think is actually kind of the same thing you do with like the Liverpool Atletico Madrid game, where like Jurgen Klopp versus Diego Simeone is like 2 really great coaches. Liverpool just has better players as well, which is why everyone's predicting them to win. But like with this one, I don't think you would argue that either team necessarily has that many better players, especially since Christian Eriksen is gone.
And
Like-
Harry Kane's injured.
Yeah, and
Harry Kane's not going to play.
Yeah, so Harry Kane's not going to play. Christian Eriksen's gone. Like, who on Tottenham is way better than any Leipzig player? Like, Heung-min Son obviously is having, like, a really good spurt of form right now, and he's probably the one. But, like, how much better is Heung-min Son than Timo Werner? Like, probably a little bit better, but not, like, a crazy amount. You know what I mean?
I think it will be more coach-based.
Yeah, exactly.
So Noah, as a Tottenham fan, what
Is that-
unbiased opinion
Is
do you
that
have
your
here?
is that your official on-show bias? Is Tottenham?
I'm an honorary Tottenham fan because of
Honorary.
my girlfriend, but I would normally side with Tottenham because I love Heung-min Son and, like I said, honorary fan. But Julian Nagelsmann is my favorite coach in football, so I am gonna actually go with an upset. Well, I think most people would say.
Yeah, I don't think it's an upset.
Yeah, I don't know if most people would say.
I
it's
don't
an
know if
upset.
it would be the upset.
I think
I
it
would-
is just
Yeah,
because
I
it's a
mean-
BPL team.
I
but-
would consider Leipzig beating Tottenham generally, at least for name value, as an upset.
Yeah,
I would
sure.
say.
But I'll take Leipzig, and I think this is my highest scoring prediction out of any of the ones that we've done. I'm going to go 5-3, and I'm going to go Leipzig.
Over 2 games, yeah. Corbin?
I mean, yeah, I definitely think you're right. I think it is going to come down a lot more to tactics and how Mourinho wants to sit against a team like Timo Werner, or a man like Timo Werner, and how he decides to play him, whether he's going to man mark him or what he may do, and just to see how Jose Mourinho works with that and works with a dominant threat like that. But I'm going to take Spurs.
Mm-hmm.
I'm gonna take Spurs. I'm gonna go 4-3.
Okay.
Mourinho's had a month and a half with this side, and Bergwijn and Lo Celso, brand new to the Lo Celso, not so much, but brand new to the squad in terms of just bought permanently. I don't think Mourinho's had enough time with this squad, with Harry Kane being injured as well. I mean, that's a huge part of it. I'm going to take Nagelsmann. I'm going to take Leipzig, and I'm going to take it 4-1. I mean, I think Tottenham are fully invested on top 4 in the Premier League. They made the Champions League final run last year, and that was miraculous on their part. They made a DVD about it, losing in the finals.
They made a DVD about losing a game.
Oh, yeah.
How?
No, it wasn't about losing the game. They made the
Just
DVD
the
about the
run.
miraculous run to a
my
loss.
God.
Yeah, the miraculous run where they beat Ajax in the semis, by the way. On a comeback, I will add.
You're right. Ajax was fantastic last season. Not a knock.
Wow.
But
I watched that YouTube video.
Not a knock on Ajax, but Ajax is a bigger like miracle story. Like Ajax,
is that true?
Ajax having a miracle run to the semis is more like surprising than Tottenham making it to the finals.
Right. Especially because Ajax had to beat Juve and Madrid on their way
Right.
to Tottenham.
Smoked Madrid.
No, but for this matchup, I think I don't give Tottenham much of a chance. I'm taking Leipzig 4-1 on both after both legs.
So, obviously I'm the last one to do my predictions, but I am going to take Tottenham in this, but I'm not going to take Tottenham because I necessarily think that they're the better team. I think Tottenham will win this game because the first game is in Tottenham, and I think when you come off of a win like they did against Manchester City, when Steven Bergwijn comes in and does he scores in his first game and everything goes well for them, I think when you have something like that happen and you basically, I don't know for sure, but I don't think they've played another home game since that game.
No.
So,
they
like,
played a game since that game?
well,
I was gonna say
they have a Prem game.
The Prem's on winter break right now, technically, but it's not an actual break.
Right, yeah. So my thing is like when you don't really play, I guess above anything else, they won't play an impactful game, I would say, between now and like their game against City and their game against Leipzig. I think I don't want to say that the crowd wins them the game, but like I think in a really weird way, like Tottenham can easily win this game like 2 or 3-0, and then you're playing a second leg where you're already up 3 goals, and it's like all you have to do is defend for 90 minutes.
It is tough to go into Tottenham Stadium and win.
If Jose Mourinho, or if Spurs can win the first game, and they win it by more than 1 goal, it's over. Jose Mourinho is going to sit in, he's going to park it, and he's going to be stubborn.
Well, he's the guy that's known for that.
Yeah,
so.
and that's exactly why I think I think it's going to turn that way.
So when we come back here next time and Leipzig had won 4-1 after 2 legs, what do I like?
Well,
do I get a gloat for 5 minutes?
Well, I said Leipzig would win too.
But I'm saying 4-1.
I said 5-2.
Oh shit!
Wow.
Forgot about that.
5-3.
Damn.
Okay, I like the way you think.
Noah said.
It was high. I said it was going to be the highest scoring one.
Yeah.
Alrighty, well that's going to do it for the first episode. I mean, we went for over an hour, so I might end up making this 2 parts. This first episode, 2 different parts, but obviously that was a good first hour and 15 minutes of conversation. So, I mean, again, I'm probably going to put this in 2 parts, honestly, just because like it's a lot easier to kind of digest like 30 to 45 minutes of content.
Between transfer window and Champions League.
Yeah, or something like that. We'll figure it out. But anyway, that's going to do it for the first episode, at least, maybe the first 2 episodes of this podcast. And then if you guys did enjoy, we're going to be uploading this to a couple different places. Hoping to obviously like get onto iTunes, Spotify, all that stuff. But at the very least, for the start, we're going to be doing YouTube and SoundCloud. And then from there, you guys can follow our Twitter account, which is 5 in
the number 5 in the midfield.
Yeah, so at 5, the number 5 in the midfield. And make sure to give us a follow because we are going to be tweeting out like when we, post all the links for all that stuff and everything like that. So I appreciate all you guys for listening. Do we have any closing thoughts before I completely wrap this up? Anybody got anything else to say?
We'll have Colin back here next time, hopefully, to clear up some of the PSG slander.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah, we definitely rode PSG kind of hard for being shit in Champions League, and then
to put it bluntly.
Yeah, but all right. Thank you guys so much for listening, and we will see you next time.